Greetings from our channel. Body language is a studied fact that never lies, but if you don't know how to read it, you might be missing important moments that will never come again as a mature, experienced man. How many opportunities do you think you've missed because you didn't know how to interpret a woman's signals? Many women will naturally be attracted to you, but the problem is that they won't be direct, not because they don't want to, but because it's never been their job. A woman understands how to mark your interest subtly with seemingly casual but intentional movements and attitudes. Now, if you're asleep and don't understand what she's saying without words, the result is simple. You miss out on a connection that could have changed your life. But don't worry, we're going to fix that today. Based on female psychology and body language, I'm going to reveal 9 signals that show when a woman is interested in you. You've heard these signals 1,000 times before, but they're the ones that really differ and will help you recognize when someone is into you, even if she doesn't express it directly. My name is Celia, and we're talking about those small details that most people overlook, but that make a big difference. If this is your first time here, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications. Stay to the very end, since these signs could open your eyes and change the way you view relationships. Let's begin. The body always speaks, even when we try to hide what we feel. One of the most honest signs of interest is in the feet. Unlike hands or the face, we don't usually pay conscious attention to them. If you're in a conversation with her and her feet are pointed directly at you, that's a subtle yet powerful signal that her focus is on you, not just physically but emotionally. Think about it. If someone isn't interested or doesn't feel comfortable, their feet tend to turn toward the exit or in any other direction that suggests disengagement. But when her feet are aligned with you, it's because her body is subconsciously reflecting her interest, even if she's not aware of it. Imagine you're in a meeting or a public set, and while you're talking, her feet remain still facing toward you. Even if she turns her head or gestures with her hands, this happens because her body language is seeking connection with you. This doesn't mean you should start staring at the feet of every woman you talk to, but if you notice the signal along with other positive behaviors, you can be fairly confident that she's interested. So what should you do? If you pick up on this, use that moment to deepen the conversation, to create a more meaningful connection. You don't need to express it verbally or alter your behavior. Simply recognize that her body language is creating opportunities for you. Speaking of nonverbal cues, sometimes the key isn't in her feet, but rather in the way she uses her hands, almost as an unconscious reflex. Let's talk about that now. When a woman is interested, her nervousness or excitement may show itself through subtle gestures like playing with her accessories, twisting a ring, touching a neck, adjusting her watch, or even smoothing out the hem of her clothing. She may be conscious, but it's a way for her to release the energy generated by the emotions she encounters around you. For example, during a conversation, you might notice that she begins to fiddle with her necklace, turning it between her fingers as she listens to you. She isn't focusing on the necklace, but rather expressing the energy you've captured. These gestures are frequently delicate and repetitive, as though she's attempting to keep herself busy in order to calm her emotions. What's fascinating is that this behavior isn't random. Psychology tells us that people tend to engage in these kinds of gestures when they're around someone they're attracted to, either as an unconscious form of self-soothing or a subtle way of drawing your attention. If you notice this, pay attention to how it aligns with her the body language. Is she maintaining eye contact? Does her tone of voice sound warm and engaging? These complementary signals can confirm that her interest is directed at you. How should you respond? The key is not to rush. Keep the conversation flowing naturally, but use the opportunity to ask her questions that build a more personal connection. Give her the space to feel comfortable, and if these gestures persist, it's a strong sign she enjoys being around you. Now, let's move on, because if her hands can reveal her interest, her posture can make it even more obvious, especially when she adjusts her natural stance to project her best self in your presence. Let's talk about that next. The body naturally seeks to impress when someone catches our interest, and one of the clearest signs of attraction is how a woman adjusts her posture around you. If she's usually relaxed or casual in her stance, but straightens her back, lifts her chin slightly, or even adjusts her clothing when she sees you, it's her body speaking. Before she does think about it, you walk into a room and see her sitting comfortably. Then, as soon as she knows you, her posture subtly changes. She might fix her hair, cross her legs more elegantly, or shift into a position that highlights her best features. These movements aren't just vanity. They're an unconscious way for her to project her best self in order to get your attention. Psychology explains that when we're around someone we're attracted to, our bodies naturally react to wanting to leave a positive impression of showing interest without having to say a word. If you notice this behavior, pay attention to how it changes as you talk. Does she maintain that posture? Does she change her clothes or touch her hair more frequently than usual? These subtle gestures are her way of communicating that your presence matters to her. If you notice this, respond with your own body language. Demonstrate your interest in, keep your shoulders back, smile honestly, and let her know you've noticed her too. This visual and physical connection will make her feel at ease and inspire her to continue expressing her interest. Speaking of expressions, let's move on to something even more revealing: her smile. A woman's smile is a powerful gesture that conveys her interest, but there are some types of smiles that express this interest or appear spontaneously before you've made a joke or said something particularly funny. This is the most natural way to show that being around you makes her pleased and comfortable, even if you don't have a clear explanation. Let's explore the implications of this in the following section. She looks at you with a smile that seems to light up her face simply by being in your presence. Because attraction in female psychology tends to show on the face in the most authentic manner. A smile that is spontaneous and unprompted by the circumstance is a blatant indication that she is interested in you. It's a normal response to how she feels around you. In fact, she may not even be real when she does it. If you notice, don't ignore it. It's a silent invitation to continue connecting in order to keep the conversation going and to feed the already existing spark. How should you respond? Give her a genuine warm smile in return. Smiles aren't always the most telling gestures, though. Sometimes the most telling ones are when she subtly tries to get closer to you, even in noticeable ways. In the next point, we'll look at how her body works to reduce the distance between you without appearing to be intentional. That shared moment of visual and emotional connection reinforces mutual interest and lets her know her gesture didn't go unnoticed. The most shocking and illuminating signals are still to come for those who genuinely want to understand how to read a woman's body language. So if you're enjoying this video so far and beginning to pick up on the subtle cues that may have eluded you in the past, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button to support this content. Stay tuned until the very end. I have a final suggestion that could significantly change your viewpoint on these discussions. Please let me know which nation you are listening from, and let's move on. Women often express their interest through subtle, seemingly innocuous movements, a clear desire to be closer to you. If you notice that she shifts slightly toward your side while speaking in front of a group of people without your immediate awareness, or that she takes advantage of every opportunity to close the distance, you're witnessing a powerful sign of attraction. Her body's desire to connect with you naturally motivates this behavior, which is neither sudden nor overtly obvious. Psychologically, this behavior stems from our innate desire to be closer to someone and share their personal space when we feel drawn to them. It's a way to feel connected without yet crossing the physical boundary while still making her interest clear. How can you determine whether this signal is genuine? Pay attention to whether she does this only with you. If you notice she doesn't display the same closeness with others, it's a strong indic that her focus is on you. What should you do if you pick up on this? Don't pull away or act uncomfortable. Let the closeness remain. Respond with a relaxed and open demeanor. And if you feel confident, mirror her gesture with a small movement toward this not only strengthens the connection, but also signals that you're open to her interest. Now let's move forward when a woman's interest is genuine. It's not just reflected in her physical proximity, but also in how she mirrors your gestures, as if the two of you are perfectly in sync. Let's explore that connection. In the next point, when a woman is interested, her body language starts to SN with yours, almost as if you're both engaged in an unplanned dance. This is known as unconscious mirroring, or the mirror effect, and it's one of the most fascinating signs of attraction without even realizing it. She begins to mimic your movements, posture, or even your tone of voice as her body instinctively seeks to connect with you. Picture this. You cross your arms while talking, and a few seconds later you notice she does the same, or maybe you take a sip of your drink and suddenly she does too. Even though her glass had been sitting untouched, these subtle gestures aren't coincidences. They're a reflection of her mind being in sync with yours, and a sign that she feels comfortable in your presence. According to psychology, mirroring is a means of establishing a connection and expressing interest. It's as though her body is saying, "I understand you, I'm interested in what you're doing," and this phenomenon occurs unconsciously, making it a real and difficult-to-fake signal. If you see her mirroring, take advantage of the chance to strengthen your bond. Maintain the flow of the discussion while you watch how her gestures continue to match yours. Avoid drawing attention to it or making sudden movements to test it. Instead, savor the present and allow the innate synchrony to unfold. Speaking of synchrony, there's another aspect that changes when a woman shows interest in you. It's subtle, but incredibly telling. It may become softer, warmer, or even slower when she speaks to you. This change isn't something she consciously does. Rather, it's a reflection of how she feels in your presence and her desire to establish a more personal connection with you. Imagine that you're in a group setting and her tone stays neutral and direct while speaking to others. But when she addresses you, her voice takes on a different quality, as if she wants to make the moment more intimate, even in a crowded room. It's a small detail, but it carries a lot of weight. When a woman is interested, her body and mind work together to indicate intimacy, and her tone of voice is one of the subtlest instruments she employs to do so. If you notice that her tone changes when she speaks to you, psychology says that this occurs because emotions directly influence how we come to communicate. Consider it a request to continue the conversation in greater detail. It's not only about how she talks to you, it's also about what she chooses to share. When a woman is interested, she starts to share more personal details, creating a special bond. Respond calmly and attentively, matching her warmth in your own tone. This helps establish an atmosphere of mutual trust and strengthens the spark that already exists. Let's move on to the next point, where we'll examine how these confessions can be a blatant indication that she likes you. When a woman shows interest in someone, she often shares more than just the obvious. It could be a personal story, a deep thought, or a detail that she wouldn't normally share in casual settings. She doesn't do this with random people, and if she tells you, it's because she wants to establish a deeper and more significant relationship. Imagine yourself in a relaxed conversation when she unexpectedly shares something like, "Hardly anyone knows this, but I've always wanted to learn how to play the piano," or "This place reminds me of a difficult time in my life." These moments don't just happen by chance. They're a sign that she trusts you and wants to build emotional intimacy. When a woman speaks about something, she usually keeps it to herself. It's because she wants you to see beyond the obvious and connect with her on a deeper level. How can you make the most of this moment? Listen carefully, ask questions that show genuine interest, and keep the conversation flowing naturally. If she feels that you respect and value what she's sharing, her trust will grow, strengthening the bond between you. Here's something else you shouldn't overlook. If she finds reasons to extend the time she spends with you, even when it's time to part ways, it's another clear sign that she enjoys your company more than she's willing to admit. Let's delve deeper into this final sign in the following section. A woman who likes you will find ways to extend the conversation, even during brief encounters. Add an extra comment or ask a question to extend the conversation. It's her way of making sure the moment doesn't end too quickly. This occurs because, according to female psychology, the desire to extend an interaction is a clear sign of interest. When a woman enjoys spending time with you, she looks for small excuses to stay a little longer. If you notice this, don't rush the goodbye. Instead, respond naturally and take advantage of the opportunity to strengthen your bond. These moments are ideal for developing intimacy because they demonstrate that you are both enjoying the time together. Remember, actions always carry more weight than words. So if she chooses to linger, even during brief interactions, it's because there's something about you that captivates her. Since women rarely express their interest with overt words, but rather with gestures that are meant to be read by those who can read them, you now have a clear guide to understand what a woman might be saying to you through her body language and actions, even if she doesn't say it directly. If you've noticed any of these signals in someone in particular, pay close attention. Someone may present you with an opportunity you've never seen before, but remember that reacting with assurance and sincerity is crucial as it genuinely establishes a connection. My name is Celia, and I want this place to be a haven where we can respectfully and wisely discuss deep and eye-opening topics. Here, we transcend the apparent and delve into the gestures, words, and subtle details that often go unnoticed, yet possess the potential to enhance our lives in every aspect. Ultimately, each small act of awareness and each moment spent contemplating our relationships propels us towards a more genuine and satisfying existence. If this is your first time on the channel, I invite you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell because there are a ton of surprises in store for you, and you will learn how to understand the subtleties of female psychology that you may have missed up until now. Congratulations if you've made it this far. This demonstrates your commitment to personal growth and understanding others to ascertain the true impact of this message. Continue to remark on the sentence at the conclusion. Please let me know where you're listening from. I adore WI. We'll continue discussing the secrets of relationships and mental health in the upcoming video. See you then.